Can you hear me, guys? Earlier when I was talking, are you able to hear me? Perfect, perfect. Now its audio is moving here. All right. So what I'm saying here right now, let me mute. Okay. All right. So this is my production network. This is my development network. So this production network can communicate each other, and this is the development network can communicate each other. But I want to communicate this network to this network. By default, it won't able to communicate. We have to do the something called Azure VNet peering. And same way, if you are wanted to have this is on-premises network, right? This is on-premises my office, on-premise my office. And when if you want to communicate on-premise office, then you will use some tool. More usually we use a gateway, or there is some other method is connectivity. Like, but it will be a VPN connectivity. The the term which we're going to use is called VPN, virtual private network. Then it will be my extended network. So which is I'm right now highlighting. If I consider this is my primary network, so the rest of the network will be considered as extended network. This entire network will consider as extended network, right? If this is my primary network, if this is my primary, if I consider this is my primary network, this too will be called extended network, right? So this is all about extending the virtual network, and by an extended virtual network, you can communicate cross regions, cross premises, cross technology, and cross data centers, various data centers. Only thing which you need to consider that IP range. The IP range we are considering right now that should not be overlaps. The IP address, or you can say the IP range, should not be overlaps, overlaps each other. It should be individual identity. This should be individual IP range. This should be individual IP range. This should not overlaps each other. Then only you will able to do successful communications. All right. So let's move on to the next slide, which talks about how you can create a virtual network. So we already know that how to create a virtual network. This is what we already have seen by creating virtual network in last sessions. So we can create a virtual network beforehand before deploying anything, or other option is that we can create a virtual network while creating a virtual machine, or might be some other services which required network. That time we can use a virtual network to create, right? So this is a virtual network. I believe this is what we can create a multiple virtual network. We can create a network here itself. The only thing which you need to consider when you are creating a virtual network, the region and IP range, right? If you want to deploy a virtual machine in central US or West US or central India, your virtual network should be part of that network only. If you deploy your network in US, West US too, and you're trying to deploy a virtual machine in India, it won't work. You have to provide a same region for your virtual network and virtual machine. And same for the disk also. All right, why I'm saying this one? So let me explain you. I think this is part I have already covered, but let me write it down again. When you deploy any network, any virtual machine, this is my complete virtual machine. This is my virtual machine. Whenever I'm deploying virtual machine have four important components. One is SKU, store keeping unit. That's provide me CPU and RAM. That is based on my bare metal, bare metal hardware, or you can simply say that physical hardware. This is completely based on physical hardware, right? Second thing is important, which is a disk where I want to keep a data, OS disk, data disk. So that is my second important thing. I can keep it on a storage account, right? With help of unmanaged disk, or I can use Azure managed disk, right? Third is important thing is my network. The network stand for here that my NIC card. The NIC card will have private IP, right? To NIC card, we can attach, as I'm using word, attach associate public IP. Public IP cannot be part of the virtual machine. This will be part of my NIC card, right? So NIC card will have a private IP that will be based on your virtual network, right? That will be based on virtual network and subnet. Both is important here, right? Then you can attach a public IP, or you can attach another thing is that I can say that, oh, with NIC card you can attach, let me go here, associate uh, NSG, network security group, right? NSG, right? So those things will be get attached to my NIC card. And fourth important thing is metadata. So metadata you cannot see, but there is a metadata in Azure. So what metadata do that? Just a minute, guys. Okay. What metadata do that? It's collect and store the information of about all three, one, two, three, all about one, two, three. Not only this much, it store the virtual machine name, region, what configuration you have set, everything it gets stored on metadata. In Azure, we cannot see the metadata, but we can see all these three stuffs. Any questions here, guys? Any questions? Perfect. No questions. So any virtual machine, which is, we say that we are spinning up virtual machine, we need to spin up these three items. All right. So how the spinning happen, how the deployment happen in Azure, whenever you new deployment happening, all right, whenever you things you're trying to deploying a new thing, first thing is required first thing required resource group. If you have resource group, it will use that resource group. If you don't have it, it will create a new resource group. Same way. Then after deploying virtual resource group, it will deploy virtual network and subnet. If you have virtual network and subnet, it will use that one, specified one. If you don't have it, it will go for deploying a new virtual network and new subnet. Then it will deploy your NIC card, right? Based on your NIC card, the NIC card will be based on your VNet and subnet, right? And based on the NIC card, you will get a private IP. Private IP. The private IP will belong to VNet and subnet. Then, if you wanted to have the public IP, if this is optional, this is not a mandatory. All the one, two, three steps are the mandatory. But if you wanted to have a public IP, sometimes or most of the times in a production environment, we don't provide public IP to virtual machine. So if you want to have a public IP, it will deploy the public IP and associate with NIC card. All right, this steps is optional. Then fourth thing it will do that it will deploy NSG, Network Security Group. This is also associate with your NIC card, and this step's also optional. It is not a mandatory. If you don't do that step number 4 and step number 5 while deployment of virtual machine, your virtual machine will be get deployed automatically. But the last things is deploying your disk and virtual machine all together. These two will happen all together. Virtual machine. That will be depends on your image. Depends on image. This will be final steps. You will do that, and all 6 steps will create your complete full-fledged virtual machine VM in Azure. All right. So those steps where you can see that you can see in Azure portal whenever deploying a virtual machine. Right. Let me see that I have virtual machine or not. I have virtual machine. All right. I'll go to this virtual machine and go for the deployment. I'm going that I clicked on virtual machine, then click on resource group, and resource group will find out the past deployments. So this is virtual machine I have created in my last deployments. If I click it here, I can just see the details, what are things got deployed. So you can see that it deployed a security group, right? Then it deployed the public IP, it deployed the virtual network, then it finally it got created in a virtual NIC card. Then all the public group and the energy will associate with your NIC card. All right, the NIC card is totally depend on my virtual network and subnet, right? Then finally, I deploy my virtual machine. And this is the optional steps which you can do the create a scheduler or not scheduler, that doesn't matter. So this is all my steps I generally do. Any questions here so far, guys? No questions? Perfect, guys. All right. So the point is the network card. When we can create a network card. So when we are deploying the network, let's say that I don't have virtual machine or any virtual network in my India region, right? All in US region. So I don't have a virtual network in India, but I want to deploy a virtual machine in India. So I'll click on virtual machine, give a name. I can, if I don't have a region, I don't have a resource group, I can choose a resource group, existing resource group, or I can create a new resource group. So let's create this one. I'll choose that India region, India. I'll deploy in Central India, CNI hyphen VM1. I'm just giving a name and want to deploy the Windows 19 and whatever I wanted to give a sysadmin password. Sorry, can you repeat your question, please? My screen is blinking. Is it with everyone? What is happening, Ravinder? That screen is stuck. Screen is stuck. Then you have to check your network, Ravinder. I are insisting that you guys to get a good network connections because all right. So Shravan, not for me. Mahesh is said it's fine for me. Kiran, is it bad? Is it okay? Okay, Ravinder, then it might be your network problem. You can you can try it out by leaving and join it again. But I believe that if you have already exhausted your mobile data, then you won't able to have it the proper screen. All right. So what I'm saying that this is I'm providing a details of virtual machine that is called basic details, right? Now coming to disk, we already have read about the disk. We can use a standard disk, premium disk. based on your performance, what you required, right? If you want to have a high performance, you will go for the premium. If you want to have a okay performance or you want to save the cost, so you will go for standard disk. Then I have mentioned here in my graph, the disk will be then another thing is important is this, whether it will be managed and unmanaged. By default, it takes a managed disk. If you want to go for unmanaged disk, you'll just tick mark and provide a storage account. So I don't want to create a storage account, so I'll just go for the managed disk. Okay, now here I can create a virtual network. If I don't provide anything input, it will automatically get my virtual network get created. So you can see that this is what it have suggested. Samit-RG-VNet. Based on resource group, it is going to create a network for me. Since I don't have any network in Central India, but I requesting them to create a virtual machine India. So it will going to create a network first in India, then it will going to create a subnet, which will be default subnet. Then it will going to create a public IP for me. Then it will create a network security card based on my, this is network security card, you can see that, based on my virtual machine naming conventions, right? If I don't like this name, Samit-RG-VNet, I can create new virtual network here itself. Actually, it is not creating, it is just allowing me to set the name. So let's say that I'll say that Central India VNet. This is what I feel like right name. And I want to have, I don't want to give us such a big IP range. I want to give a small IP range. So I give into 56 IPs. If I go for the 16, you will get approximately 1 lakh IP, 65,000 IPs. So it's a huge range. I don't want to waste my IPs. I'll use for the smallest range which can possible for the VNet. Smallest range can be 29, but this is not suggested to have it. You should go for the at least 24 for the virtual network, or might be at least 25. All right. Okay. Next thing is important, my subnet. I need to define what are the type of virtual machine or what type of subnet I wanted to have in this network. So I can provide a subnet one, whatever name you feel it, and provide IP range. Let's say that I'll go for the 25 and another IP. You can see that they are suggesting that IP range will be from 128 to this 128 character you will get consumed. And if you want to have a subnet 2, so you should go next to this number. 127 का next क्या होता है? What will be 120 next to 127? It will be 128, right? So I have to go 128/25. So I consume entire IP. The IP is 0.0 starting with 0 ends with 255. Here also starting with 0 and starting ends with 255. Now if I want to have subnet 3, I don't have space left. What IP range I will give it to? If you say that okay, go for the next IP range, it won't allow me. It says that your subnet range is out of the virtual network space. So I cannot take this IP range because this is what I have defined here, the entire network range. I will get it. So now after creating a virtual network, it will going to create a new network. It is not created a new network. It will be going to create when I click on create. It will going to deploy a virtual network. Then only it will go to deploy my subnet, then virtual machine. And if I don't like this virtual machine, this name of my public IP, I can change the public IP name also here. So I can give it the public IP PIP. I stand for the PIP will be my public IP. And I don't want to give that dynamic IP. I want to have a static IP. That will cost extra, static IP. We'll talk on this part later, but this is what I can set over here. So let me go on dynamic itself right now. Then I'll go next. All right, we'll talk this part later on. Let me know not to shut down this machine. And now let me deploy a virtual machine and you will see that one virtual network be get created here. All right. Just observe the deployment process. Then you will see that first it will going to create NSG, then public IP, then virtual network, then NIC card, then virtual machine. So let me go to deployment. Deployment process. You will see all the steps which I have mentioned here that will get deployed. You can see that virtual network got created, NSG got created, public IP is got failed. Uh, why is got failed? Let me see that. For IP address for standard SKU is routing preference. Okay, I have not choose standard one. Let me click on redeploy to public IP. Where is public IP? Internet is not supported. It's okay. So let me go for standard. Let me try now. Providing a password. Let's create it now. All right. So let me see that what could be a difference. Let's see that anything will come here. Oh, it's got failed again. What could be a reason? The public IP again. All right, the action should be static again. The public IP have messed up a little bit where I have mentioned the dynamic. Okay. Yep. Resource group and the password. Let's see that this time deployment should be get successful. Now, since virtual network already got created, it won't show you that creating virtual network. It will directly jump to public IP, and virtual network is might be already there. So let's see that. Okay, this time public IP got successful. Now, virtual network is already created in last attempt of deployment. NSG got created. These three items got created. Now it will going to create a NIC card. After creating a NIC card, it will going to create a virtual machine. So you can see that NIC card got created. Right. This NIC card got created. Now it's creating virtual machine. All right. So this is what I want to show you. And let me go on virtual network. And if you see here, there will be one VNet already created. Right. This one, Central India, is got automatically get created. The point which I wanted to highlight here that you can create a virtual network beforehand or you can create a virtual network while deploying a virtual machine. The only thing which you need to be cautious about overlapping IP address. That should not be done. All right. In a virtual network, that can be further segmented into the subnets. You can have one subnet or you can have multiple subnet. So subnet is mandatory to having virtual machine in virtual machine deployment. You should have the subnet compulsory, right? And the subnet can what could be use case of subnet? So subnet will be help you to segregate your similar kind of devices. So I can have one subnet for the web service, another subnet for the database service, another subnet for application subnets. So whenever I'm deploying any virtual machine, which will be web server, I'll be keeping in web subnet, right? This is how I can segregate easily my networks. Plus, I can apply NSG network security group rather than applying on virtual machine. I can apply on my subnet, so will be it will be apply all the rules, all the restrictions for all the virtual machine which is will be inside that subnet. So let me clarify that one if you got confused. Or actually, this is a upcoming topic, but let me show it here. So I have this VNet. In the VNet, I have a subnet. This is my subnet. This is my another subnet. And in this subnet, I have virtual machine. So generally what happened that when I apply the energy, I require to deploy energy and attach to virtual machine multiple place. Here also, here also. But let's say that I have deploying the 50 virtual machine or 10 virtual machine. I need to maintain the 10 energy for each every virtual machine, right? And all are the acting as same. This is all the web server, right? All are web server. So what I can do that I can create one energy web server energy and apply the energy at subnet level. I can apply the energy at subnet level. So that will protect all the virtual machine. Not only single machine, it will protect all the virtual machine because it's protecting my all energy, all my subnet. Make sense, guys? So rather than applying energy network security group on each virtual machine, I applied the energy at subnet level. So I can protect my entire subnet. All right, this is what I want to. This is what a different way so applying energy. Either one you can apply on subnet VM level or subnet level, two place only. All right, so this is what subnet can improve your security, increase the performance, make easier to manage your virtual network. Any questions, guys, so far? Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Thank you. All right. So this will be our hands-on lab. We'll see that we'll deploy two virtual machine in one virtual network, and we'll try to communicate on the private IP, not a public IP. We will try to communicate each other on the private IP, right? So what I'll do that I have already created one virtual network, one virtual machine. This is what we have already created in Central India, one virtual machine, right? VM1 that have a public IP because I want to take access of machine. So what I'll do that I'll be deploy another virtual machine in Central India itself, and that will not have a public IP. So I'll say that CNI Central India, and this will be VM2. This time I am choosing automatically it's choosing the Central India network. Why it's choosing? Because I have given the basic is the Central India region. And right now in my subscription, only one VNet is there, which is in Central India. If it's a multiple region, it will appear as alphabetically, and it will take a virtual network which start with first letter, right? So it is automatically taken, and let me see that this virtual machine I have deployed in which subnet. This, how do I see that this is which subnet? I'll click on virtual machine. I'll check it in overview essentials area. I'll see that virtual network and subnet. This is a subnet one. So this network, this virtual machine, I'll be deploying subnet two. And it's asking, do you want a public IP? No, I don't want to have a public IP. So let me allow this one and deploy virtual machine. Hope you guys are doing a practice, right? Now, after few sections, you need to do the lab as assignment. So let me share you that what will be lab in assignment. So this will be your labs and assignment. You need to start performing that. These two files. So here you will be see that all the tasks will be there, which is you require to perform, right? This is which you require to perform. Create a virtual machine from ARM template, create a virtual machine which having the web server installed. These all tasks you need to do that. This is completely 40 tasks, which will help you to do the practice and the scenario. Might be a little bit twisted, but you have to understand and you have to perform the task. And another is that kind of lab practice. This is kind of a practice which you required, some of you required to do your own, some are the guides has been given here, how to deploy that, right? So this is approximately 65 tasks will be there. And this is a small knowledge center which you need to understand and we need to you need to perform it. So I'll be sending this document by today, or let me send it today itself so I should not forget. Mhm. I'll be improving this task and sending you again, but meanwhile you guys need to do practice which I have just now shared. So this VM2 is already deployed in Central India and Subnet 2, but it doesn't have a public IP. So let me go to my virtual machine sections, take the public IP. This is two virtual machine. I want to see that is are they communicating each other or not, because they both are in a same VNet. So I want to test it out that this is going to communicate or not. So I'll going for the MSTSC, remote desktop services, providing public IP. There's some message. What is the message here? Perfect. So I'm trying to connect this machine, username and password, and I'll be connecting to that machine. For this machine, I'm using public IP because I don't have a VPN connections. So from the private IP to public IP, we cannot connect directly. You required a public IP. My laptop is in some different network. My laptop is in my home network. Okay, what happened? trying to connect, and after that it's quit failed. Something weird on this machine. Okay, let me check that why this machine is not working quickly. I'll not take much time for diagnostic for checking that machine. This is running fine. So the public IP which I can see here on networking and go to NIC card, then go to public IP. I can see that configurations is static. It's pretty good. Still not able to connect. All right. What I'll do that I'll attach a public IP to this machine. Since I don't have a public IP, this machine, let me create a public IP to this machine. Okay, come on. Come on. There's some problem in Central India with the public IP, I think, because it's taking too much time. Okay, sorry guys, I'm doing, yeah, connecting this public IP. Okay, now I got connected to virtual machine 2, which is IP. Virtual machine IP should be that 10 dot 10.0.1.0.132. That is my public IP, private IP. So let me see on this machine. All right, I'll go on command prompt, type cmd, type command called ipconfig, then I'll see my public IP. So public IP is 10 dot private IP, sorry, private IP is 10 dot 0 dot 1 dot 132. I want to connect my virtual machine, this virtual machine, on private IP 10.1.0.4. So I'll be connecting this machine MSTSC, and I'm running this MSTSC inside my virtual machine to just that connectivity check. If you can see that this tool is inside my this virtual machine. So I'll just providing 10.1.0.4. From the source IP is my this IP 132 and the destination IP is 4. I am connecting in the private network and I am expecting that this should be connected because both are belong to same virtual network. Here we go. We got our username and password. So that's mean it's get connecting whether we got RDP or not. That if it's not getting RDP, that could be a virtual machine problem. But thing is that we are able to reach out that machine. And here's my another virtual machine. So this machine, which you can see right now, having 32 IP, it is having one virtual machine and another virtual machine is this one. I'm connecting on my private IP. Again, I'm using a word. Make sense, guys? Can you see that? Okay, perfect. Now, let me try to connect this network, this machine. This machine is in different virtual network. If I start and try to connect, will it connect? If I try to connect this IP machine, will it able to connect that? No. Yes, it won't connect because this is a different virtual network. But still, I want to connect it. This is a Linux one. Let me see that. Oh, this is also a Linux one. All right, no issue. I started this machine. I want to make it connection of this network. So what I have to do, I have to go on both virtual machine and there is a pairing option. You can see that pairing. We'll see a little in details, but there's a pairing option. I need to do the pairing. Then only I am able to connect these two machines, these two networks, right? We'll see later on. All right, this is what we have hands-on lab. We have done. We have deployed one resource group, one virtual network, and two subnets and two different virtual machine. And we try to connect these two virtual machines from each other. That is working fine. Right, guys? Any questions so far? Any questions, guys? No? Perfect. All right, this is what already have talked about that any virtual machine is not only virtual machine, it is a part of the four. SKU, which contain the CPU and memory, then NIC card, then storage and metadata, which we already talked about. And the NIC card have attached NSG. This is an NSG, and NSG have a public IP attached, and the DNS will be define a name in the my public IP. What is DNS name? Simply, I don't want to remember this IP. I am pretty confused with that name. Or this IP is keep changing. Always when I shut down this machine, the IP get changed. So right now, if you just let me note it down the IP. This is IP, public IP, and this is I kept it a dynamic, right? So I just note it down on my notepad. This is what I have kept it right now. Let me shut down this machine and start it again. So this IP will be get changed because I kept it this IP dynamic. And if it keep changing, I have to go onto portal and get the public IP always. So I want to fix this problem. So what I'll do that I'll be going to I'll be going to my public IPs. All right. After seeing the public IP, I'll look for which one is attached. So this VM2 is attached to that machine. I'll be going for configurations. I'm right now in public IP address, right? I'm setting up a name. So let's say that VM2 Samid will be, I'm keeping a name and I'll save it. All right, this is a name of DNS label I have given. This is completely optional, right? Now I'll go to my virtual machine and look for the machine. Now the IP is I don't have a public IP, right? You can see that I don't have a public IP because virtual machine stop state. So running, why is showing the running? It's a stop state, right? So now let me start the machine and I'll show you the private public IP. It will be different public IP, hopefully. Yep, you can see the public IP. I'll go to my notepad. I'll show you that new or public IP. It is totally different public IP. Can you see that same virtual machine have a different public IP? So whenever, since my public IP is a dynamic public IP, type is dynamic, right? It will keep changing. Whenever it will keep changing on every reboot, every stop and start. Not reboot, reboot will keep hold IPs. Stop and start, right? It will keep changing on every start and stop. Might be next time it will third IP will be there. So what I don't want to keep remember the IP. So what I'll do that I'll be providing a DNS name and rather than connecting machine from where's MSTSC MSTSC rather than connecting from IP I'll be using this name. Which name? This name. So is no matter what could be IP behind, it could be let it change anytime, any IP, XX IP, YY IP, whatever IP will get changed, doesn't matter. I'm connecting with this DNS label, so it will automatically get mapped with those IPs. And it is easy to remember for me that, okay, this machine, VM2 hyphen Summit dot centerindia dot cloudnet app dot azure.com will be my, this will be always common, cloud azure.net will be always common, and based on your region it will define a region and your virtual machine what you or whatever label you define. Based on that it will always connect. So I'm connecting with this label. Let's see that will connect. Yes, it's connecting, and I'll be providing my username password. Make sense, guys? What exactly it is? DNS label. So rather than connecting IP, I'm using with the DNS label. And if this IPs keep changing whenever I start and stop virtual machine, doesn't matter. This DNS label will always static, and it will automatically get mapped with my public IP. So it will resolve my issues, and I don't need to keep remember the number. Are you with me, guys? Do you have any questions on this part? DNS label or DNS name? No question. Perfect. All right. So far we have seen the network and DNS label. What is DNS label? Let's move on the understanding the IPs. What are the IPs Azure supports? So this is completely theory. I think most of the things we already talk about, but still let me cover quickly on this theory part. Where is my line? Yeah, here is. So we Azure supports two types of IPs, private IP and public IP, where we use those IPs. So if you are using a virtual network, if you're using virtual network on premises, VPN connectivities, express route, gateways, you will going to use a private IPs. All and also included any sub devices like NIC cards, virtual machine, all those will be using a private IPs. And the public IP we are going for the internet and public facing services. So generally there's a two ways of communication in terms of IPs, which we all everyone knows that. And where we can apply the public IPs in Azure, you can apply the public IP in the NIC card of virtual machine, front end configuration of a load balancer. This is public IP. Gateway, gateway configuration of VPN gateway, application gateway, and in front end configuration, right? The types of attachment will be two, either it will be dynamic or static. So virtual network and load balance supports both dynamic and statics, both, but gateway and what do you say that application gateway and this one uh, VPN gateway only support the dynamic. It won't support the static IP. Or actually, static IP doesn't require there because when once until unless you have a gateway deployed, it will always keep the IPs with you. If you until unless you disable that. But the new gateways, new SKUs or gateways are also support the static IP. This is I need to update that. It is also support the new types of static IPs. All right, sure. I can show you that how we configure the DNS. It's pretty simple. What you need to do, you need to go virtual machine, find out the public IP. This is a public IP, but it is just showing a number. It is not showing that which public IP, what is public IP name. You have to click on it. It will take you to public IP configuration address. Or you can simply go, you just see that name. And if you know the name, so you can simply go on public IP as a service, public IP as a service, and look for your public IP. Right, this is a public IP we have deployed for virtual machine. Click on it, then go to configuration part. In the configuration part, you will see that DNS name label. You can just save that VM1. If it is no one have taken the VM1, you can use the VM1. It the name DNS label will be global. DNS name will be global. If someone have taken, let's say that Ravinder already have taken. So I'll not able to take VM1 because vm1.centralindia.cloudapp azure.com will be already have taken by someone. So I have to provide my different label. So let's say that Samit VM1 Samit is available. Now I have to just click on save. Right? It is failed because of this is already attached and this public IP is giving us problem. This is from the starting or beginning. I think there's something mess with that public IP. So it's a regional or I don't know what is happening here. It is a zonal public IP. Okay, let's see that this public IP is giving a problem from the start and the beginning. But this is how we do that. I can show you this one. I'll go to this machine, another machine, my vmjohn.ip, and I'll provide a VM1. If it's someone is taken, I cannot do that. And I'll provide some label John. Right. So it is available. I just save it. It will allow me to save the DNS level. Make sense, guys? Sharon, is it clear for you? Okay, perfect. Now, going to next point, which is where we can apply the public IP and the private IP. So this is a public IP places where we can define. All right. Usually public IP we are used with the VPN gateways and internet facing devices like internet facing load balancer, or sometimes we use on a virtual machine, sometimes we use on application gateway. So those places we use public IPs. And where we use a private IPs is usually used which where we want to communicate internally within our virtual network or extended network with on-premises or the networks we want to use it. That time we'll use on only private IPs. All right, private IPs have a two method dynamic assignment. This is a just allocation method. IP will not ever change. So in the public IP, when we stop the virtual machine and start the virtual machine, the IP got changed, right, guys? When we stop the virtual machine and start the virtual machine, we got different IPs. This is what we have seen. This IPs keep changing in the public IP assignments. But in the private IP, IP will always constant. If I have given IP4, whether it's dynamic and static doesn't matter. If IP is 0.0.4, whether I keep it dynamic or static, it will be always stay with that, the same IP. So what exactly mean of our static and dynamic allocations? So let me show you that what is exactly it's mean dynamic and static allocations. So I'll go to my NIC card service network interface. I'll create one NIC card, only NIC card. I'm not creating virtual machine just to save the time. I'm just creating a NIC card. All right, I'll provide my resource group. I'll provide my demo-nic card. I'll be choosing my region called Central India, right? Then it will automatically take my Central India VNet. Then it will take my IP, right? If I choose this subnet and method of allocation is dynamic, the next IP will be mine. Let me show you that. The next IP will be mine based on my, let me go on network, which is right now consumed. In subnet, it is consumed 4. Next IP will automatically it will be 5. I cannot control because I have kept it dynamic. So next available IP will be 5, right? Because 4 is already deployed, so it next will be 5. So let me create a new next IP. So I'll be just doing the dynamic allocations and creating a network card. All right, sorry guys. So this network card has been deployed. Go to network card. You will see that IP is 10.1.0.5. Can you see that? It is automatically get next available IP. When you go for the dynamic allocations, it is just allocation method. So it will be dynamically allocated next available IP. But if I want to go for the static, so I can define my IP. I can define my IP. What exactly means that I'll go again back to networking, NIC card service, click on create a NIC card, demo NIC 2, and I'll provide a network subnet central India, and I'll choosing the subnet 1. And this time dynamic allocation, I'll change IP allocation method, I'll change it to static. Here I can provide a IP. 10 dot, what was that? 1 dot 0 dot 100, right? So this time I am assigning static IP allocations, and my IP will be 100. So I'm choosing from my pool, subnet pool. I'm choosing allocation method. I'm choosing allocation statically. It is not dynamically automatically take it. It will be in the pool available IP is available. I'll go and choose my IP, static IPs. Did you got it? What is difference between static IP and dynamic IP in private IPs, not in some public IPs? So just to clarify again, right, Mahesh, you got it. But just to clarify it, because most of people get confused with public IP and dynamic IPs. All right, this is public IP and this is private IP. And this is my dynamic and static. All right, here, first thing, can I choose the IPs? Can I choose the IP in public IP? No, I cannot choose the IPs. Whether it is dynamic or static doesn't matter, right? Whether it's dynamic or static, it doesn't matter. I won't able to choose the IPs. No IP choosing option is available, right? Here, can I choose the IPs? Yes. In the static, I can choose. In the dynamic, I cannot choose because it will be take next available IPs. Second is that will IP will IP change after reboot, after restart, I'll say that restart, start and stop. Dynamic, yes, it will change, but static, it won't change. It will keep maintain the IP. It will keep maintain the IP. All right. Will it change? No, it won't change at all. And the dynamic also. And the static, it won't change. Right? And is it stable IP? Stable and persistent IP? That's mean the changing also, but stable and persistent. Any lease is there or any expiry date is there? No, there is no expiry days. There is no expiry date here itself. Until unless you are running virtual machine, you will have virtual machine. Once you shut down the virtual machine, IP will get changed, public IP will get changed in the dynamic situation. Here it will, whether you shut down or not shut down, the until unless you delete the public IP service, it will always with you. So it is a persistent. Sorry, I should say that it is should be persistent. It should be persistent. Yes, it is a persistent. Here, whether IP is persistent, okay, that is a catch here. Persistence is a catch here. As a display, it is yes, it is a persistent. The IP is persistent. IP is persistent here. But technically, it have expiry. But expiry is 99 years after 99 years. So In other words, it won't expire at all. 99 years. Make sense, guys? Any questions here? Any questions, guys? No questions, Shravan, Ravindra, Kiran. Okay, perfect. All right. Kiran, are you there? Yep, please ask me the question. Mm-hmm. Yep. So what exactly it's mean that persistent, I am running the virtual machine. This is virtual machine I'm running right now. And this IP have a dynamic IP. If you guys remember that, I click on that, go to IP, and I'll show you that this is my dynamic IP allocations assignment. Not allocation, assignment is dynamic. So I am not restarting this virtual machine. I'm keep running. It is virtual machine is not restarting at all. It is keep running for 24 by 7. So this IP won't change. It will be persistent. It is no expiry at all here. No expiry or so that will be always with me until unless I'm running a virtual machine. But if I stop the virtual machine, then it will be change, right? So it is one of you cannot say the persistent IP, but it is technically if you're running a virtual machine, it will be persistent with you. After the reboot, it won't change, right? After the reboot, it won't change, but after the stop and delocation, it will change. Let me show you that. If I just reboot this machine, it is end with 2206, it will won't change at all. Because rebooting, you are not releasing the IP. But when you stop it, you release the IP. You stop the billing. So machine get rebooted successfully. If you just refresh the page, IP still that 206. Okay. Then, mhm. Okay, then it will be public IP will be a dynamic static public IP. It will be static public IP here. Yeah, it is if it won't if you want to make it stable, even the stopping virtual machine. So you should have that public IP should be static in the configuration. All right, and right now we are using basic SKU. Basic SKU. If you are using standard SKU, is by default a static public IP. So let me show you that. If I go for public IP as a service, I create a public IP. Right now, if I let's say that I'm giving a name for demo PIP, I'm giving a just name, right? And I am choosing the basic SKU. I have option called dynamic and static. Once I change to standard, I don't see that its option is available. It is always gray out. Can you see that? Right? So this, if your company is using standard public IP, it will cost you more, but it will always statics and they provide higher SKU, higher SLA. So the public IP, I just show you that. So why people prefer to have a static IP? Okay. So you can see that if you are using a dynamic, which is always basic option is there, right? And it will cost you 0.04 cents per hour, right? This will be a this much cost. And if you go for the static public IP, right, in a standard, it will cost you 0.5 cents. And here it is pretty yeah, cheaper. Okay, so now coming to next slide, can can a virtual machine have a two different NIC cards, two NIC card or multiple NIC cards? Can we have it? Virtual machine can have multiple NIC cards? What do you think, guys? If yes, so what could be use case? So, yep, let me, yep, this is mentioned in slide itself. So some of the time, what happened that you already have a NIC card. This is my NIC card. It is a one NIC card. Always virtual machine have a single NIC card. But some scenario, you wanted to have a multiple NIC cards for special type of virtual machine. What are those special types of virtual machine? Like a firewalls. Like a firewall. Firewall have a firewall have a one face which will be get attached to your internet service, right? And another face will be part of your virtual network. This will be part of your virtual network, right? Here another virtual machine will get communicate. So one NIC card will be internet NIC card. We can say that another NIC card will be my external NIC card. Or in the firewall language, they call it South Pole and North Pole, right? So those scenarios are we required multiple NIC card, or might be we required multiple NIC cards for some VPN devices or some IDS devices. So those kind of scenario we required multiple NIC cards. So how we can achieve a multiple NIC cards? It's pretty simple. What you require to do, you go to portal. Let me virtual machine shutdown state. I can do that. First thing what you need to do, you have to shut down your virtual machine. So I already have one virtual machine shutdown state. I'll click on that virtual machine. Go to networking section. I'll click on attach NIC card. Here I can find out what one if I have multiple NIC card, I can simply drop down and choose a free NIC card which I want to attach it. Or if I don't have it, I can create a new NIC card, right? And provide attach a NIC card here. All right, we already have one NIC card created. So let me go on this machine, which is, let me shut down. All right, I think machine should be shut down. Let me refresh. Okay. Now, what I'll do that after shutting down virtual machine, I'll go to network card. I already have one NIC card which I have created, two NIC card I have created, right? This NIC card, existing NIC card, can you see that this existing NIC card? It is in subnet 2. And this NIC card which I have created is subnet 1. So I can attach multiple NIC card of different subnet. That can possible. This virtual machine will have a two public private IPs. One will be from the this NIC card, and another will be just right now I'm attaching to the different NIC card that I'll be having a different public IP. So you can see that, guys. So I have one public IP, which a private IP, which is 10.1.0.132. Another private IP is 10.1.0.5. This is subnet 1 and this is subnet 2. Now after starting virtual machine, my machine will able to communicate on both the IPs. But thing is that this NIC card, first NIC card is always called a primary NIC card. Make sense, guys? So I can have multiple NIC cards. So how I can have multiple NIC cards? You can simply go to NIC service, create a NIC card, whatever you want to have it. Go to virtual machine, click on attach NIC card, and after attaching NIC card, you can have a multiple NIC cards. In the networking section of virtual machine, you can see that. Any questions, guys? First thing, why we record multiple NIC cards? There are some scenarios like traffic manager or firewalls, right? Those things required multiple NIC cards. NIC cards can be possible multiple subnets. So this is my virtual machine. In this picture, I can see that this is my virtual machine and this is my virtual network. This is my virtual network. I have different subnets. One subnet, front-end subnet, middle tier subnet, and back-end subnet. I have created three NIC cards. This is a default NIC card. When I deploy the virtual machine, it will automatically get attached this. This is another two NIC card I have created, NIC card 1, NIC card 2, and different subnets. All right, manually I have created. Then I shut down the virtual machine, attach both the NIC cards to this machine. So this virtual machine will be communicating to all three subnets with their own IPs. All right. The question is that what is it possible that I can have another VNet and one subnet and this machine I'll create a NIC card here, NIC card 4. Can I attach to this machine? Can I attach? No, I cannot attach. I cannot use multiple VNets. I can use multiple subnets, but I cannot use multiple VNets. This won't possible. All right, guys. So I think last time, it has been a request came that we should not take a longer lecture. So I'll be stopping here after 1.5 hours. Is it 1.5 hour done? Or is half an hour only done? Yeah. So I'll not go much because you guys want to take a smaller session. That's absolutely fine for me. All right. Uh, so do the practice. I just want to show that my Excel file. So start with lab scenarios, this file, and try to read the scenario. Scenario is not a straightforward. Some scenarios straightforward, some scenarios is not straightforward, and some scenarios already cover the topics. So try to understand which scenario you can perform. Let's say that, can I perform this scenario? Yes, I can perform this scenario. Can I perform this scenario? Yes, you can do that. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. But can you do on netting load balancer? No, you cannot do the netting load balancer, which is because we have not covered the topic, right? But most of the things I think you can do it. Please start doing the practicality of that. Understand the scenario and start doing your own practice. So what could be advantage of these scenarios? So this is how a customer send a request. I have collected most of the times when the customer send a request this way. So they send a request this way. You have to understand the requirement. Sometimes might be possible that the requirement is not completely fulfilled. Let's say that they wanted to have installed WordPress on Linux and Windows virtual machine. The customer haven't asked us that customer haven't given that which network, which virtual network, which size of virtual machine they haven't given. So you have to ask the question or you have to assume that some values, right? So start doing that. If any questions, any doubt on these scenarios, this post in the group. Other people can help you out, or if I am available, I can help you out. Right, guys?